apologize for mishaps earlier trying to get this to you. I want to thank Mike Alvarez for giving me the chance to comment on a very important event 50 years ago, the Kent State Massacre, and also the Jackson State killings. This event occurred on May 4th, 1970, when National Guards in Ohio was ordered by the governor to fire upon unarmed students at Kent State University. 4 was killed. These are the names: Allison Krause, Jeffrey Glenn Miller, Sandra Lee Schreier, William K. Schrader. The last person many of these were not even part of any kind of protest. They were simply walking across campus. The last brother was enrolled in the ROTC, the military training operation on campus, even though he opposed the war, etc. This was cold-blooded murder. This led to a massive rebellion on campuses throughout the United States. Some 536 colleges was involved in either strikes or shut down by the administration. 350 of those colleges and universities actually conducted strikes. They reopened the university to serve the anti-war cause, linked up with the black community struggles, Latinos, and others. 4 million out of nearly 8 million U.S. students was actually on strike during that period of time. It's also involved many high school students. This was the largest student strike in world history. And their demand was for an immediate withdrawal of the United States forces from Southeast Asia. Nixon had just ordered the invasion into Cambodia, and that sparked the massive rebellion along with the killings at Kent State. On May 13th of that year, police opened fire into a dormitory at Jackson State College in Mississippi, killing 2 additional persons. I was involved in this particular protest as well. At that time, I was a student at Merritt College in Oakland, California. It became part of the student strike. I also participated in protests at the University of California, Berkeley, of a rally of some 3,000 that were called by the faculty and the student organizations that was organized against the war, the Student Mobilization Committee, and then others as well. Of course, my entire involvement in this fight began as a soldier at Fort Jackson, South Carolina. We had organized against the war in Vietnam, and I had been released on May 23rd of 1969 from the stockade, of which I was there for like 60-some days or so. A total of 8 of us became known as the Fort Jackson 8, after having been victimized by the brass for organizing to oppose the war, having rallies and discussion on the base at Fort Jackson itself. This immediately brings me back to the original comment. Fred Hofstad, who was a central leader of the U.S. anti-war movement, actually drove myself and my attorneys up from Fort Jackson into New York immediately upon my release. He's the author of this very important book, out now. I urge you to get it. It paints a real living story of the fight against the U.S. Vietnam War, and also, document the whole fight around the Cambodian invasion, the murder of the Kent State students, Jackson State students, and so on. This is much reading for those who want to learn the truth. Just one final word with regard to this fight. We should never allow the public consciousness or history to forget the role of these students, these murder students, nor the powerful effect of the student radicalization and the massive historic strike that played a key role in helping to force the United States government to get out of Vietnam. Of course, the valiant fight of the Vietnamese people, the tenacity that they would not allow the invaders to take over their country, was the most important factor in this. But combined with the U.S. anti-war movement, and including the soldiers who organized against the war, and of course the students who led it, we were able to force the United States government to get out of Vietnam. We should learn, today's fighters should learn from that important period of history as we fight against the current social crisis brought on by the capitalist system and the COVID-19 crisis. And looking back then, we can learn about the potential power we have, especially as working people, as we fight for protected equipment, maximum testing against the disease, try to force the U.S. government to pay the full wages necessary to have a decent life, even while we are laid off. Else we demand massive rehiring into government-funded public works program to solve these problems as well. We stand in solidarity with the grocery workers, the frontline workers in the hospital, in the transit department, the farmers as well. And I personally stand in solidarity with all of those who are fighting against the United States sanctions against Cuba, all of the other countries involved, Venezuela, etc. And I stand in solidarity with those who are fighting to demand that the U.S. government ceases attacks on countries all over the world, the Cubans as well. Again, I want to bring you back to the Kent State Massacre and the history of the U.S. anti-war movement, and urge you to check out this book by Fred Hofstad, out now. Thank you much. I'm Cleve Pulley. You may know also that I'm a recently fired worker at Walmart, unjustly fired, and I'm urging all of you who know of my petition to look me up on Facebook and sign it. Thank you very much.